I know, we are also counting the days to finally get the chance to put our hands on a copy of the long-awaited GTA 6. It has been 10 years since we did not have a new entry in the Grand Theft Auto franchise, for God's sakes. With so many high expectations, the year 2026 seems to already have an owner of the coveted title of Game of the Year. But does it really? Although Rockstar's new game promises to redefine the open world once again and expand the legacy of one of the greatest gaming franchises, it will not be the only big contender to take the stage in 26. There are also some ambitious titles that are preparing to compete for everyone's attention in the coming year, so we have highlighted some of the most promising games slated for 2026 with enough potential to stand up to the phenomenon of GTA 6. Or at least share the spotlight.
It has been more than 5 years since the Fable reboot was announced by Playground Games, but our expectations are still alive and breathing, and quite high, I must say. From what I have seen so far, it may be everything that we are hoping for. An RPG hit with stunning visuals, smooth gameplay, and a nice mix of humor and fantasy. What is not to love if we really get that, right? Also, I am excited to see Playground's take on this iconic franchise, since they are known especially for Forza Horizon games. Pragmata, or The Last of Us meets Alien, is a brand new, promising sci-fi experience from Capcom that's been in development for approximately 5 years. The story is as crazy as you would expect from the genre, following Hugh, a spacefarer who gets lost from his team after a lunar quake, exploring a mysterious research station overrun by a killer AI. He also receives unexpected help from an android girl named Diana, making the player control both main characters simultaneously to find a way to survive. Sounds pretty original, and could start a new franchise if it gets it right.
I got the chance to test a couple of bosses from Phantom Blade Zero at the Summer Game Fest in 2024, and boy, I cannot wait for more. Seriously. When I finished the demo, I was jealous of those who were still in line to play. It genuinely has some of the most impressive gameplay I have seen in years, mixing a Souls vibe with an irresistible hack-and-slash combat, resulting in fast and extremely stylish combos inspired by Chinese martial arts. Add all of that to a charming aesthetic that fuses elements from cyberpunk and steampunk styles, what the developers call kung fu punk, which is perfect. A semi-open world with non-linear exploration, multiple paths to follow, and a mysterious story of an elite assassin.
Capcom is well set for early 2026 with the upcoming Resident Evil Requiem, which is already making my horror fan side very happy for allowing players to switch between first and third-person camera perspectives. That said, it is the 9th mainline entry in the franchise, with a brand new, unexpected protagonist, the daughter of Alyssa Ashcraft from Resident Evil Outbreak, and a promising return to the iconic Raccoon City. It looks like Capcom is not holding back for this one, and we will probably see a horror experience that takes full advantage of the power of modern consoles, probably being a new peak for the survival horror genre. Just shut up and take my money. Marvel 1943: Rise of Hydra is the next big single-player superhero experience coming in 2026, and it could very well be for Marvel what Batman Arkham Asylum was for DC Comics if done right. First, the project looks pretty ambitious on paper, putting Captain America to literally fight against the Black Panther in the middle of World War II, while players can control them both, probably alternately. So we can expect multiple protagonists, a historical setting, and a Captain America Civil War vibe. And we also have Amy Hennig, known for creating the acclaimed Uncharted series as the main director and writer of the project, meaning it has a lot of potential to surprise us all.
IO Interactive, the studio behind Hitman, is developing a spy game based on the 007 franchise while presenting an origin story for the iconic James Bond. It seems like a perfect fit to me. I mean, 007 First Light's description alone makes this a top priority for every gamer, including myself, especially with having stealth-heavy gameplay and a third-person camera perspective to make you come back to the franchise's origins. If they pull everything right, just like they do with every Hitman title, this one could be a really, really special experience.
Developer From Software's The Duskbloods is one of the most anticipated releases of 2026, partially because it's something of a pioneer. The game will be made exclusively for Nintendo Switch 2, despite the fact that it's unlike any other Nintendo exclusive that's ever been released. It's a smart move on From Software's part, especially considering the advantages that the Nintendo Switch has over other consoles. From Software has never published an exclusive with Nintendo before, despite having been around for a while and creating such enormously popular titles as Dark Souls and Bloodborne. It will most likely take on an aesthetic very similar to the dark, gothic setting of Bloodborne. The trailer also made it clear that the new multiplayer game will focus on vampires and vampiric abilities and lore. Players will compete with each other and game-built bosses to be the first to reach some kind of fancy in-game reward called the First Blood.
Sony PlayStation tends to feature incredible games with compelling stories, and Tides of Annihilation seems like it'll continue the tradition and live up to expectations after being featured in Sony's 2025 State of Play. Developed by Eclipse Glow Games, Tides of Annihilation will follow a female protagonist, Gwendolyn, as she makes her way through a contemporary London under siege from magical forces. Similar to another PlayStation exclusive, Horizon, this game will be a single-player action-adventure title, a large draw of which will be its strong, compelling storyline. The game combines its London setting with Arthurian lore, allowing Gwendolyn, humanity's sole survivor, to utilize spirits from the Round Table as she fights a lot of scary enemies, some of which are larger than buildings. Not too much is known about the exact mechanics of the game, but players can glean from the trailer that Gwendolyn will utilize both melee and magical weapons to fight the forces of evil. While players won't be able to design their own character from scratch, there will be many customizable elements for Gwendolyn, including skill tree decisions and stylistic alterations to her physical appearance.
After quite a long hiatus, Onimusha Wave the Sword marks a promising return for Capcom's classic franchise, yet with a slightly renewed focus on action, making it less Souls-esque, and tone giving it a little more humor. From the trailers and previews, this could well be a nice mix of classic Onimusha with a modern take, offering more accessible mechanics without losing its challenging aspect. Also, as the new Onimusha is not connected to other titles in the franchise, it may turn into a good gateway for new players. The idea of playing with the legendary figure of Musashi once again through a corrupted Kyoto already makes me very excited, and finally get rid of the bitter taste left by the remastering of Onimusha Warlords. It is true that we are not seeing much marketing for Gears of War E-Day, but as a prequel to the original trilogy, I hope to finally get a more gory, dark, near-horror-esque aesthetic like the very first Gears. Because we're talking about a scenario where humanity is on the brink of extermination by monstrous enemies they know nothing about. We need an oppressive atmosphere and visceral combat. For the story, I expect a strong focus on the brotherhood between Marcus Phoenix and Dom Santiago in the early days of the Locust War, with groundbreaking visuals since it's built from the ground up with the powerful Unreal Engine 5.